TECH4ED centers serve as hubs that enable skills training and job opportunities.
This program helped me by finding a job and, of course, gaining more confidence as well. I was able to gain knowledge about the BPOs, on how does the environment work.
As of now, as I will the call center agent, so I see that difference because as of now I'm earning more than I have earned before as a tricycle driver.
TECH4ED empowers overseas Filipino workers to explore online jobs to support their family.
With the emergence of the TECH4ED centers here in the Philippines, we were the very first to have the TECH4ED centers here.
Bali, ang pinakamalaking impact po ng TECH4ED sa buhay ko ay yung time para sa aking family. Ngayon, ang time ko sa kanila is buong-buo na. Hindi na siya yung typical na 21 days in a year lang, na mas marami pa yung oras ko sa abroad na hindi kasama sila.
TECH4ED helps transform the lives of the marginalized sectors.
Siguro, iisipin na lang nila parang training na din sa kanila, additional skills po sa kanila. So, para paglabas po nila, magagamit din po nila sa pagbabagong buhay po nila.
Para sa akin, ang TECH4ED ay maiignite ko sa isang salitang pag-asa. Pag-asa para sa aking sarili, pag-asa na makapanibagong buhay, pag-asa na mabigyan ako ng pagkakataong mabago ang pananaw ko sa aking sarili, pag-asa upang makatagpo po ng trabaho, pag-asa na makapagbigay karunungan sa aking mga kapwa PDLs po dito po.
DICT will uphold its mandates to develop plans and programs that ensure universal access to ICT services, infrastructure, and spearhead initiatives for countryside development. Through the TECH4ED project that strives to nurture the welfare of the people and to enable, empower, and transform the quality of life of the Filipinos.
Good morning, everyone. Ayan. Good morning po. Ayan. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Today is Friday, and it's such a pleasure to be with you all. No, my name is Ranalyn Caperal, and I'm one of the project development officer under the TECH4ED project. No, also joining us here today is our our Technical Operation Division Engineer Petronilla Villaferte and Sir Carlo, also Miss Nina, Sir Mark, and Ma'am Roma. Ayan. And also, of course, good morning again to the dearest participants here at Zoom and also participants at the live stream at the Facebook page. Ayan. And before we begin to our webinar proper, may I request everyone to take a pause and feel the presence of our Lord.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
All right. All right. Before we formally start this meeting, no, may I call on our engineer, our regional director for Luzon Cluster 2, Engineer Reynaldo TC, to give his opening remarks, no.
Good morning, everyone. In behalf of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, Luzon Cluster 2, we wish to welcome all of you in today's webinar on cybersecurity, introduction to foundations of computer emergency response team operations. We are happy to note that safety on the internet has been given favorable attention in these past few months. COVID-19 pandemic propels the use of ICT in almost everything that we do. From morning till dawn, naka-online na ang karamihan sa atin. Not only that, even sa shopping, business transaction, and even government transaction and records are being put online na rin. That is the reason why we should adapt to the new norms, which is being online in doing business. However, being online puts a lot of risk in our records and transaction. There is a big risk of cyber attack and hacking. Hindi talaga may iwasan na may take advantage ng ICT for their own personal use. That is why most companies and government institutions are strictly imposing and implementing cybersecurity protocol. However, even the most secured network, there are still possibilities na mako-compromise ang network. Madalas, nakakalimutan ng mga staff and security protocol. The bad part is, pag na-compromise ang isa, buong network o system, nako-compromise na rin, especially if it's a virus. We are at risk not only of COVID pandemic, but also at risk of cyber pandemic that could wreak havoc to our system and also to our personal devices. That is the reason why we are here today. We need to orient government and private institutions, including local government units, the importance of setting up and operationalizing computer emergency response team to safeguard our data and records, because all of us are at risk. We need to be vigilant and mindful of what we are doing in the cyber landscape. We should be on guard of what we are doing and put controls and safeguards on our data, especially if we're online. We hope that after this webinar, we could all be totally confident and safe in exploring the cyber landscape. Be informed, be safe. Think before you click. Good morning, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Engineer Reynaldo TC. Can you give him a virtual clap of applause, no? And here are some gentle reminders to the observed during the session proper, no? Please put your mic on mute to avoid unnecessary noise. Second is we encourage everybody, if possible, to open their cameras. Third, if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the question box in your Zoom control panel. And for those joining us in the live stream, please type in at the comment section. I'll bring them up at the end of presentation. And observe proper decorum and etiquette, of course. And feel free to hit the reaction button if you find the topic interesting, no? I'm sorry kung paputol-putol ako, no? Yan. So now let me introduce to you our resource speaker for today, no? Mr. Lindomar Du Toscano had graduated in the University of the Philippines, Diliman, with bachelor's degree in arts in public administration and currently pursuing a master's of education major in social sciences in Cagayan State University. Mr. Toscano is a certified DICT resource speaker for foundations of computer emergency response team operation and a member of board of directors, Teachers Incorporation at National. Now, without further ado, we will turn on the time over to the Sir Lindomar Du Toscano. Please give him a virtual clap of applause. Good morning, Sir Lindomar.
Ayan, good morning po everyone. Dinig po ako, ma'am?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Ayan, so I'd like to thank everyone who are in here today. I know na December 17 na, mag-holidays na, and yet you have ang tawag dito, you opted na sumama sa atin sa webinar na to ngayon, mag-participate sa webinar natin ngayon. I am really happy to see na sobrang dami nating participants. I believe around 200 yung nag-register, and that alone makes me happy and that I am here today. Sino nga ba ako? Ako si Lindomar Toscano. I've been a research and development director for one of the companies. Nagturo po ako ng senior high school. Currently, yes, member po ako ng director for Teachers Inc. National. And in my spa ako is to play online games. So dahil dito, nagkaroon ako ng interest sa cybersecurity as a whole, and that made me interested in being in participating in the FCERT Foundations of Computer Emergency Response Team trainers, kasi gusto ko din na at lahat ng mga tao ay maging digitally aware webinar. Let's start security awareness. Before we proceed with the foundations of the computer emergency, maintindihan muna natin kung ano yung nangyayari sa ating cyberspace, no? Or yung mga trends, or kung ano yung mga common na nagbibigay ng human vulnerability sa atin. Meaning yung vulnerabilities would be the weakness that attackers will exploit sa atin, kumbaga. So sige, share ko lang yung screen ko. Ma'am, ano lang i-stop ko na yung sharing niyo po. Yan.
Okay po, sir. Thank you po.
Okay. So, cybersecurity awareness. Para saan ba ang cybersecurity? Para lang ba siya sa mga technical na tao? Para lang ba siya sa mga non-technical na tao? Pero kung iisipin natin, lahat naman tayo involved dito. Kung gumagamit tayo ng internet, actually kahit nga hindi tayo gumagamit ng internet, involved pa rin tayo dito. So it's just good that we should be aware with what's happening in the cyberspace. meron ako napanood na video na yung mga Girl Scouts, in-incorporate na yung cybersecurity sa Girl Scouts sa ibang bansa, and hopefully someday we can adopt this as well. So ang cybersecurity is not just for a certain group of people, it is actually for the public. Yan. So ano ba yung nangyayari ngayon? Yung mga exchanges or yung communications natin before aabutin tayo ng siyam-siyam bago makapagpadala ng important message natin sa ibang tao. Kailangan physically present tayo pagdating sa mga meetings. Pero ngayon, hindi na kailangan yan. Not necessarily na hindi na siya kailangan, pero there's an efficient way para hindi na tayo mag-meet physically. And apparently, the COVID-19 pandemic had parang pinersa tayo ng COVID-19 pandemic para subukan tong ganitong setup. Although meron ng mga webinars din dati na nako-conduct, pero most likely ang gusto ng tao is yung physical pa rin yung setup. Ayan, kahit sa mga meetings natin, sa cloud na lang, so currently, as of the moment, the world is roughly at around 7.83 billion, and 56.4% live in urbanized communities. There are 5.22 billion users. That's 66.6% of the total population. There are also 4.66 billion internet users, and that's 59.5% of the population. Ang active social media users natin would be 4.20 billion. So, yan. So technically, sobrang bilis ng pagbabago ng teknolohiya. If you look at the past 20 years, kahit nga the past 20 years lang dati, alos nasa text messaging pa lang tayo. Pero ngayon makikita na natin when we try to communicate, FB Messenger na nga yung pinaka-trending na ginagamit natin for communication. Magsisend tayo ng mga files sa mga teachers natin. It's no longer through email. Actually, drag and drop na nga lang, i-drag natin yung isang file, tapos isasend natin sa mga kaguruan natin or sa mga boss natin, mga ganoon. Kapag magdi-disseminate tayo ng information, we are already doing it through online. Kahit nga kapag mag-share tayo ng knowledge, we're already doing it online. And sa ganitong pangyayari, kailangan pa rin nating malaman kung ano. I mean, we have to be skeptical about what we see online as well. Kailangan at least meron tayong skepticism na dumadaloy sa ating pag-iisip na kasi merong mga pages na nagsasabing nanalo ka ng ganito, nanalo ka ng ganyan. Ang gaganda ng mga promises, pero at some point that is actually where the attackers will exploit you. Ayan. Later, i-discuss pa natin yan further. So sa Pilipinas naman, currently 110 million na tayo. Then 48% would be living in urbanized communities. 152.4 million mobile connections. Internet users natin would be at around 74%, and 89% active social media users. I mean 80%. Ito nga, dati tinitingnan lang natin yung mga news na nakikita natin either sa television, sa newspapers, pero ngayon ang bilis na nating nasasagap yung mga information. Kapag once na lumabas yung balita, makikita na natin, magte-trending, magva-viral, tapos nagiging aware na din tayo kung anong nangyayari. But we have to discern if that news is true or not, di ba? yung pagiging fake kasi ng isang news can be seen as it actually depends on um, yung truth value ng isang bagay can be is actually perspective kasi yan. Mostly ang mga fake news natin would be political in approach. Sometimes it's about COVID-19 pandemic. And these fake news are opportunistic in nature. Meron silang end goal kumbaga. And sa kaya nakakapag-connect na tayo within our relatives in the United States, in anywhere in the world actually. So long as there is an internet connection, we can now communicate with each other. So, hackers deface government website twice and leave a message. Merong mga threat actors na na hacktivists, they are hacktivists in nature para pababain ang integridad ng isang government agency, mga ganyan. Yes, even our government agencies are prone to data breaches, and it's scary. But this is the reason why we conduct these webinars, and the concept of the computer emergency response teams operations came into play. Ito, ayan. So, siguro narinig na rin natin yung balita about BDO, no? Recently lang, actually around 2 days ago, I'm not really sure, pero merong mga nagkaroon ng breach ata doon sa loob ng BDO. I'm not really sure as of yet what happened with BDO kasi wala pang final statement, pero they also parang na-bypass ata yung two-factor authentication ng BDO, yung one-time PIN, and it was seen na nagiging more sophisticated na ang ating mga threat actors. When I say threat actors, ito yung mga ating mga hackers. Yan. So, madalas financial gain is isa din sa mga gusto nila is financial gain ng ating mga threat actors. And email-based cyber attacks continue to target PH users. As PH users are actually one among the communities na sobrang engaged din sa social media, nagiging target na tayo ngayon ng mga cyber attacks. It can be na hindi tayo yung mismong target, but our computers are powerful enough para maging accessory sa isa pang attack na i-conduct ng isang threat actor. Later we will be talking about botnets as well. And for terrorist purposes and drug trade and criminality. So ginagamit din siya doon. What happens in cyberspace? So criminals use it to steal millions, governments use it for surveillance, and hacktivists use it for to further their political goals. Yan. Now, what is cybersecurity then? Cybersecurity is defined as the collection of tools, policies, security concepts, security safeguards, guidelines, risk management approaches, actions, training, best practices, assurance, and technologies that can be used to protect the cyber environment and the organization and users' assets. So some authors define cybersecurity as the prevention, protection, and the restoration from cyber attacks. It is used to protect networks from computers, programs, and data from attack, damage, or unauthorized access. And it involves protecting information and systems from cyber threats. The first step in protecting yourself in cyberspace is to know what you are protecting yourself from. So it's by raising your awareness in such concepts, you tend to become skeptical And that alone, not necessarily, that will already prevent around 50% of the attacks that may be that may be that may be targeted to you. Yeah. So yan. I-next lang natin yung video, no? Yan. What are the most common cyber threats? Phishing. Ang konsepto kasi ng phishing is it's a fraudulent practice of sending emails to individuals to reveal personal or financial info. Naghahanap yung ating mga threat actors ng mga mabibiktima. So they do it through phishing. Sometimes they'll send like an email that will look like your bank account's online services, and then once you click to that link, you will try to log in with your username and password, at doon sa part na yon nakuha na nila yung username at password mo. There are other cases of phishing, pero mostly ang phishing is it's distributed, so malawakan siyang ginagawa. And there are other concepts as well that are related to phishing, such as whaling. Sa whaling naman, naghahanap sila ng malalaking isda. And later i-discuss pa natin yan when we are on the cyber threat landscape. So pwede kasing mangyari na yung tayo pwede tayong maging victim ng isang cyber attack, and then yung mga tao sa contacts natin ay pwedeng sila yung talagang mabibiktima noon. Pwedeng yung email natin magsasend ng malicious messages sa mga tao na nasa contacts natin, and when you protect yourself from such cyber attacks, you are also protecting the people that are within your contacts. Ayan. Isa sa mga common na kinukuha nila would be your identity, and identity theft is the deliberate use of someone else's identity to gain a financial advantage. Not only financial advantage, sometimes in the US, they will live as you, and they might pose as you. Pwede nilang nakawin yung identity mo para gawan ka ng hindi magandang bagay if you are being targeted. And ito nga yung sinasabi ko, video clients who lost cash as when they get their money back. Ito yung nangyari sa BDO recently. Ang alam ko rin na recently na naging victim ng breach would be SNR. Although sinasabi naman ng SNR na yung financial information ng kanilang mga customers were not compromised. Yan. Ito nga, public school teacher in debt because of identity theft. So si teacher, nagpinost niya yung kanyang yung picture ng kanyang identity online, and ginamit siya ng threat actor para mangutang. So nagkaroon siya ng utang ng 800,000 in salary loans. So never post your IDs on unsecured networks or sa mga hindi kayo sigurado. Sometimes kahit nga yung yung mga deliveries sa atin ngayon, 'di ba? Mahilig tayo ngayon sa online shopping, delivery, tapos pipicturean tayo nung mga delivery riders. Try to refrain from those kinds of practice. Uh, Try to build a practice of securing our identities ourselves as well. So meron din namang hacking. So ito na yung unauthorized intrusion into a computer or a network. And the good thing is meron naman na tayong batas para dito. And one among the IT grads was arrested for COMELEC website hack. So ang tawag dito, kahit nga yung napakalaking government agency natin, which is the COMELEC, was hacked. So ayan. Internet fraud. Okay? Maraming mga schemes or internet scams na naglilipana, although hindi pa hindi pa ganoon ka-apparent sa Pilipinas, targeted, pero nangyayari na talaga siya. Nagbo-boom na rin siya, and people na as a nation na nag-utilize ng social media, we are prone to this. And mga types ng internet fraud, sasabihin na nalo ka, pero ang totoo, it's their way of getting an information out of you. Pero gaano ba kaimportante yung ating mga information kung tutuusin? Our information is valuable. It is very valuable kasi nga merong mga free services, 'di ba? May mga nakikita tayong mga free services. When we have data of people, let's say si SM kunwari, pag pupunta ka ng SM, maggagamit ka ng free wifi. Ngayon yung wifi na yon, yung service na yon will have sa terms and conditions niya, pwede niyang makita kung ano yung ginagawa mo while using their network. Let's say nagsa-search ka ng mga phones or ng mga phone brands. So ngayon si SM, ito hypothetical lang naman. So ngayon si SM, syempre ang gagawin ni SM would be to check kung ano yung gusto mo, di ba? Iniisip niya na kung ano yung gusto mo. So once na makita nila, makollect nila yung data, ma-process nila yung data into intelligence, and they will now be able to devise a strategy kung anong mga businesses yung i-open nila. So this is how important our data is. Kaya nga pag pumupunta tayo ng may mga terms and conditions doon, no? Pag minsan, syempre gusto natin libre at gusto natin mabilisan. Click na lang tayo ng click without even reading the terms and conditions. Always check the terms and conditions, although kahit na marami doon ay vague at mahirap intindihin, but at least check the terms and conditions. So phishing, identity theft, hacking, internet fraud, these are common cyber threats. Meron naman tayong mga advanced cyber threats, which are DDoS attack. So let's start with DDoS attack. DDoS meaning distributed denial of service. Sa distributed denial of service, ang threat actor natin, ang gusto niya is to make a network, parang gusto niya mag-fail yung isang network, kumbaga. Gusto niyang wala nang makakonect doon sa network na yon. So what these threat actors do is send out traffics, magsasend sila ng network traffic doon sa isang network na yon until ma-overload yung network. And once this network is overloaded, hindi niya nakakayanin yung traffic ng data, and this could mean na magda-down yung system, or kahit yung website, magda-down din yung website. Distributed denial of service, denial of service kapag iisa lang ang gumagawa nito. Pero what if an army of computers, let's say an army of computers will try to attack or target a specific network? Yeah. So, dyan na magi-start ang tinatawag nating distributed denial of service. There was a friend of mine who owns an online gaming platform. Ngayon, meron siyang mga player na nagalit sa kanya, naayawan yung polisiya niya. So naging target siya ng DDoS attack. Sobrang trinatry nilang i-down yung system nila until maging fully operational na yung kanyang game mismo. How does this happen? What happens is, let's say, magsasend si threat actor ng mga botware sa iba't ibang mga computers without these computer owners knowing that they've already been hacked. So hindi nila alam na nangyari na pala yung cyber attack sa kanila. Pero operational pa rin yung kanilang mga computers. Not only computers but also IoT devices or Internet of Things devices. Ngayon, yung mga devices na yon, kapag sabay-sabay nag-try na kumonect doon sa iisang network, ma-overload yung system. Imagine niyo yung NLEX. Ano kaya mangyayari? Di ba malawak na yung NLEX? Maganda na yung traffic. Pero imagine niyo kapag sobrang daming sabay-sabay na sasakyan ang dumaan doon, hindi kakayanin. Ayan. Pwede magkaroon ng mga accidents, ganyan. Meron din mga ransomwares. Ransomware is a malware that prevents or limit users from accessing their system unless a ransom is paid. Merong mga ransomwares na makikita mo na lang, mapapansin mo na lang, encrypted na yung iyong mga data. Hindi na siya readable, kumbaga, hindi na siya kayang basahin. And unless you pay a ransom, ang sasabihin ng mga threat actors would be, until you pay your ransom, you will no longer have an access to your data. Meron din namang mga wiperware. Ang gusto talaga nila is i-wipe out yung iyong drive. So these are advanced cyber threats. Yan. So this one is an example of a ransomware. Ito yung WannaCry virus, WannaCry computer virus. Ang ginawa nila dito, the story of the WannaCry ransomware is, I believe it happened around I'm not sure if it's 2016 or 2017, pero March siya nangyari. Ang pinaka-targeted na mga computers dito would be the computers na running in Windows 7 that were not patched. Hindi na patch yung mga computers na to, and some government agencies in the United Kingdom, such as their National Health Service, naging victim ng attack na to. So the threat actors or the attackers are asking for Bitcoin as a form of payment. And hindi advisable na magbayad ng ransomwares kasi unang-una, binibigay na natin sa threat actor kung ano yung gusto niya. Pangalawa, there were no evidences na once na binayaran mo, ibibigay na sa'yo yung mare-recover mo na kung ano yung nandoon sa system mo. Yung WannaCry ransomware is one among the most deadliest cyber attack na nangyari. The good thing is there was this there was this IT person. His name was Marcus Hutchins, and he was able uh, to see he was able to find the kill switch. Nalaman niya kung paano pahintuin yung ransomware na yon. Merong kill switch itong ransomware na to. It's a gibberish website. So ang ginawa niya is ni-register niya yung domain na yon para lahat ng mga uh, na-infect, yung mga computers na na-infect, once they have connected to this, hindi na siya maaagapan na, kumbaga. So the question is, how do you protect yourself from these threats? And so, sorry, binasa ko lang yung yung mga chats natin. Okay po, I'll be sending a copy of the PowerPoint to our Teach4ED. Pero most likely, these PowerPoints shall only be used for educational purposes only. And how do you protect yourself? So first, do not open attachments from unknown sources. Meron tayong pag nakaka-receive ka ng email, meron ka kasing hunch eh. Meron tayong hunches na parang kakaiba tong email na to, kumbaga. Parang gano'n. So pag hindi mo kilala, might as well stay away from it. Merong concept such as verify kung saan nanggaling yung email. Hover, i-check mo kung ano yung link, yung attachment na yan, i-hover mo lang siya. Then sniff. Yung sniff na part would be for you to have an skepticism about what's that email for. Do not click dubious or unverified links. Change your passwords regularly. When you change your passwords, wag naman yung password 123, 40, 123, 123456, or yung mga madaling hulaan na mga passwords. Actually, merong mga programs na kayang manghula ng mga passwords, 3 billion passwords per second. So the easier your password is, mas madali siyang hulaan, kumbaga. And also be careful in interacting with other people online. Pwede kasing merong mga tatawag sa iyo, sasabihin nila tataasan natin yung credit limit mo. Just make sure first, let's say meron kang credit card. For some reason, si threat actor nakuha niya yung phone number mo, and then they'll try to fish out information from you. Verify the identity of those callers. Installation of security devices. Siyempre, pag mag-i-install ka ng security devices, tapos magda-download ka ng mga links, di ba? Pero sinasabi na ng security device mo na malicious yung website na yon, what are you going to do? So it's up to you kung i-allow mo yon or hindi. Be careful of what you plug into your devices. Some of our USB drives are compromised, and once na kinonect mo yung USB drive sa computer mo mismo, pwedeng yung computer mo na ay maging infected. Ayan. Do not install third-party apps directly from the internet, and only add people you know. Ang labanan kasi ngayon, karamihan mga nakikita ko sa mga trend sa kabataan, paramihan ng friends, ganyan. Paramihan ng mga likers, followers. I'm not saying it as wrong, pero it exposes you. It makes you become vulnerable, more vulnerable than what you were yesterday, kumbaga. Ito, don't be too showy in social media. Pwede kasing, let's say, marami kang mga pictures sa social media mo, hindi siya sa social media accounts mo, nalalaman ng mga threat actors natin kung ano yung daily routine mo. Cybersecurity is not just about the computers. It's about the relationship between the human and the computers. So, pwede kasing ang gamitin na toolkit ng ating mga threat actors would be social engineering toolkit para magkaroon ng access sa iyong computer. Ayan. Avoid using third-party apps in social media. Turn off location settings on your phone unless necessary. Kasi once na alam nila kung nasaan ka, let's say, alam ng mga threat actors natin na walang tao sa bahay mo, na-hack ka, ang talagang pinoprotektahan mo is yung bahay mo. So alam na nila ngayon kung ano yung nangyayari, ano yung ginagawa mo on a daily basis, yung magiging routine mo. So unless it's necessary, turn off the location settings on your phone. Although sometimes, syempre, meron ding benefits, meron ding pros saka cons, lahat naman ng bagay merong pros saka cons. Pero unless necessary, turn off the location settings on your phone. Report and ask help from the authorities. Kapag may nakita kang suspicious email, what will you do? So let's say, nakita mo na yung friend mo ang nag-send noon. What you're going to do is you are going to ask your friend kung legitimate ba na siya yung nag-send noon or it's just a bot na nagsesend. Sometimes yung mga Facebook natin na-hack. Kahit nga yung yung mga gaming accounts natin na-hack eh. I still recall around 2017, one of my gaming accounts, in one of the games, na-hack siya. So nakuha na nung sino man yung nakakuha ng account ko. Kaya mahalaga din sa akin to kasi importante sa akin yung account ko, pinaghirapan ko yun eh. And that instance made me aware na hindi lang pala dahil, syempre iisipin natin, hindi naman ako mayaman, bakit ako magiging target ng cyber attacks? Hindi naman ako, wala naman silang makukuha sa atin. It's true, the lesser yung makukuha nila sa'yo, the less likely that you'll be a target of a cyber attack. But you as an individual can protect other people if you are protecting yourself. Yan. These are the authorities that you can coordinate with kapag nakaka-receive tayo ng mga threats, mga cyber threats. Later, i-define pa natin siya and i-discuss pa natin siya ng mas deeper. Okay, so we're done with, gusto natin na maging resilient maging cyber resilient ang Pilipinas. We want the Philippines na lesser yung cyber attacks na nangyayari dito sa loob ng Philippine cyberspace. And we'd like what we like to our goal is to lessen and our capability na mag-bounce back from this cyber attacks, mapataas natin yan. Okay, since we now have an idea of what's going on in the cyberspace, kung ano yung nangyari noon at nangyari ngayon, it's time that we introduce the foundations, the foundations of the Computer Emergency Response Team. Computer Emergency Response Team is a concept na it admits na cybersecurity is not an individual issue. It's not a private concern. It's not an organization. It's not just an organizational concern, but it concerns the public. And halos kasi lahat ng mga threats ay opportunistic in nature. So it's just good na we need to have a backbone, or we need to have an organization na magmamanage ng cyber incidents, mga ganyan. So ang pinaka-lead for ang tawag sa computer emergency response teams dito sa buong Pilipinas is called the CERT-PH. And the national lead agency for this would be our NCERT. So the CERT-PH is composed of the national CERT or the NCERT, government CERTs or GCERT, sectoral computer emergency response teams or sectoral and private CERT, and organizational computer emergency response teams or organizational level CERT. Let's say sa sectoral CERTs, let's say sa media, ang pinaka lead organization sa media, sa sector ng media would be PCOO. Sa industries such as business process outsourcing and other industries, DTI. So there are sectors. Then, apart from establishing the hierarchy of CERT in the country, governance structure shall be clearly defined to make the implementation of the National Cybersecurity Plan efficient and the monitoring of its progress and milestones more effective to ensure that the plan shall be on target with its objective until 2022. NCSP 2022. So ano-ano ba yung sections ng NCERT natin? First would be the Security Operations Center section. So the Security Center Operations section conducts regular network monitoring, security testing, source code analysis, vulnerability and risk management, and escalation and resolution of cyber security related incidents. It also monitors the system for possible information security threats and injects countermeasures at saka mga remedies. Meron namang incident response section. It responds to cybersecurity incidents reported to the Bureau. Bureau meaning Cybersecurity Bureau, internal and external to the department. Ayan. It also develops well-structured process for handling and managing information security events and enabling tools, methodologies, at saka mga practices. Next section is the digital forensics section. They conduct vulnerability assessment and penetration testing to government agencies. They provide technical details and analysis of discovered vulnerabilities and criticality to systems owner. Examine and evaluate web and network assets to identify security deficiencies. And the cyber threat monitoring section, they collect and analyze data from publicly available sources and feeds, collaborate with international and local communities and organizations on existing new threats in cyberspace. So, let's say si CERT nakakita siya ng bagong cyber threat, i-inform niya yung mga affected agencies or the victim agencies, and they will create an intelligence on this. They'll be advising other CERT organizations as well, not only CERT within the Philippines, but also all over the world. Develop effective implementation approach on monitoring and information sharing of cyber security incidents. So sa cyber, ito yung framework natin. Si DICT with the NCERT or the National Computer Emergency Response Team would be the lead for protection. They are the ones who will coordinate national protection, prevention, and mitigation of and recovery from cyber incidents. Kung mapapansin natin, si DICT does not have prosecution capability. In cases where there is a cyber crime, it will be forwarded to the CICC, and CICC will forward it to the agencies na nararapat. So lead for investigation, enforcement, and protection would be our DOJ, NBI, DILG, or PNP. These are the agencies that has a prosecution arm. So pag cybercrime na siya, pupunta na siya sa either dito sa dalawa, DOJ, NBI, DILG, PNP, or sa Department of National Defense if it is militaristic in nature, tapos sobrang nagkakaroon ng state threat. So meron tayong framework na sinusunod, identify, protect, detect, respond, at saka recover. What we have to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, would be all of us. I mean, all of us will be a victim of a cyber attack. It's not a matter of can, kasi alam nyo, nagiging sophisticated talaga yung ating mga threat actors. Ang mahirap kasi ay sila lagi yung nauuna. Kumbaga, sila lagi yung merong upper hand. And if we are raising awareness to our friends, if we are protecting ourselves, we're also protecting other people. Ito nga, identify, protect, detect, respond, at saka recover. And so CertPH is responsible in receiving, reviewing, and responding to computer security incident reports and activities. The team shall also ensure that a systematic information gathering or dissemination, coordination, and collaboration among stakeholders, especially computer emergency response teams, are maintained to mitigate information security threats and cyber security risk. It is also mandated to provide proactive government countermeasures. Sometimes we think of cybersecurity as reactive. Yung magre-react na lang tayo pag andyan na. Pero the truth is, we should see it na proactive yung dapat nauuna tayo. I mean, at least may idea tayo kung ano yung pwedeng mangyari. There are stages of a cyber attack. And the earlier that we can catch a cyber attack, the better. And proactive government countermeasures to address and anticipate all domestic and transnational incidents affecting the Philippine cyberspace and any cybersecurity threats to the country. Di pala ako naka-share screen ba ako?
Sir, wala pong.
Hindi po, sir.
Sorry. And so, ito naman. So, ito pala. Ulitin na lang natin. So, si CertPH, NCert, Government Cert, Sectoral Cert, saka si Organizational Cert. And yung mga sections niya would be the Security Operations Center section, Incident Response section, Digital Forensics section, Cyber Threat Monitoring section. So ito pa yung sinasabi kong NCSP 2022. Si DICT ang pinaka-lead for protection, and in cases where there is a cyber crime, it will be forwarded to law enforcement agencies, and if it's a matter of national security, it will be forwarded to the Department of National Defense. Ito yung sinasabi ko, yung identify, protect, detect, respond at saka recover. We'll be discussing that one further later. And CertPH is mandated to to provide proactive government countermeasures to address and anticipate all domestic and transnational incidents affecting the Philippine cyberspace and any cybersecurity threats to the country. The team members is composed of security analysts, engineers, under the Cybersecurity Bureau, Department of Information and Communications Technology, Philippines. So how do we contact them? The points of customer contact, the preferred method is through email. So let's say if you believe that you're already a victim of a cyber attack, your organization for that matter, nagiging ano na ng cyber attack, you can email them to certph@dict.gov.ph. CERT is available from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, but still, for out of business hours support, in case of critical security incidents, CERT-PH is available on call on on-call duty. So what are the types of incidents and level of support of CERT or the NCERT? Cybersecurity incidents that potentially affect or compromise the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of the information system must be reported to CERT-PH. Tignan natin yung konsepto ng confidentiality, integrity, or availability of information. When we say confidentiality, kapag yung isang pinoprotektahan natin, nakita niya yung nakita ng isang tao na hindi naman dapat makakita nito, the confidentiality of that, let's say, document is already compromised. Yan. Kapag basta ang konsepto ng confidentiality would be kapag merong nakakita na hindi na tao na hindi naman dapat nakakita ng isang document na to, the confidentiality of that certain document or any information is already compromised. How about integrity? When we say integrity, yung data natin, is it still viable? Let's say naging victim ka ng cyber attack. What happened to our data? Baka merong binago si threat actor sa mga data natin. Pwedeng ganun. And the integrity of the data or the information is already compromised already. Sa availability naman, not only the availability of the information but the availability of the network as well. Let's say si bank natin, let's say si BDO, hypothetical lang naman, naging target siya ng cyber attack. Ngayon, madaming kumo-connect sa kanya na bot army. Yan. Then mako-compromise yung kanyang network to the extent na yung mga legitimate users natin, hindi na sila makakonect. So the availability of the information system or the network is already compromised. Incident reports that do not have, so meron tayong konsepto ng CIA triad sa cybersecurity. When we say CIA, it's the confidentiality, integrity, or the availability of the information system. Okay? CIA. Now, incident reports that do not have confirmed functional or information impacts such as passive scan, phishing attempts, attempted access, or thwarted exploits may be submitted to CERT-PH voluntarily. And the level of support given by CERT PH will vary depending on the type and severity and available resources. As much as we'd like to value the security, we'd also want to value the privacy of all concerned and affected agencies, organizations, and clients that have been accommodated by the team. And so disclosure of information is in accordance with Philippine Republic Act number 10173 or the Data Privacy Act of 2012. And in conformance with other issuances of the National Privacy Commission. Ito nga, so communication, email pa rin. So ano-ano ba yung services ng CERT PH natin? CERT PH incident response. So CERT PH incident response services are available on a 24/7 basis to its constituency. All information and communication technologies related incidents are evaluated. Incident triage. Triage, ang concept ng triage would be pupunta ka sa nurse. Let's say pupunta ka sa isang emergency room. Sa emergency room dito mo na makikita kung alin ba yung dapat kong unahin. Alin ba yung kailangan kong bigyan ng prioridad. So, that's the same. It's the same concept. Uunahin ko syempre yung mas nanganganib ang buhay kaysa let's say sumasakit yung tiyan. Unahin ko muna yung naghihingalo. So, prioritization, yun yung konsepto ng ating triage. Incident coordination, in cases wherein there's a need to coordinate to other agencies, contacting involved parties to investigate the incident and take the appropriate steps, determine possible cause of the incident, and facilitate contact to other parties which can help resolve the incident. And on incident resolution, they provide technical recommendations for post-incident recovery. Ang mga proactive services naman would be threat monitoring and information sharing, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. So dito, sa threat monitoring and information sharing, they release daily cyber threat feeds and public security advisories. Kung pupunta tayo sa CERT PH na website, makikita natin doon na nagbibigay si CERT PH ng mga feeds kung ano yung nangyayari sa cyberspace. Sa vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, let's say merong isang government agency, gusto niyang malaman kung gaano ka-secured yung kanyang network and they check for vulnerability. It's like attacking it pero inalaw ka ng government agency na yon para i-attack ka para malaman mo kung paano mo i-improve yung iyong network security. Education or training, the conduct of cybersecurity training to technical and non-technical officers from the public sector. Tulad nung ginagawa natin ngayon, it's already part of this. Yan. So, in 2020, ano-ano ba yung mga reported incidents between January to December of 2020? Karamihan fake news. Data leak, marami din data leak. It comprises of around 19%. Ayan. So, ang foundations of computer emergency response team operations have 4 modules. First is the cyber threat landscape. Second would be the incident management. The third would be the vulnerability management. And the fourth would be the cybersecurity tools na makakatulong sa atin para i-secure yung ating mga networks. Ayan. Ayan. So, we'll be watching a video. We'll be watching a video in the meantime para makita natin kung paano ba at least give us an idea on how our threat actors or our hackers can gain access to our information, and possibly we can also understand the impact of it. So, sige. By the way, this is a YouTube video, so available naman to sa video sa YouTube, and mostly hindi ko na dina-download yung mga videos na pinapakita ko kasi it's my way of thanking those content creators. Ayan. Kasi sobrang laki din ng kanilang tulong sa atin. Pasabihan ako pag may sound Merong sound kayo naririnig?
Meron po, sir.
Meron po, sir.
Okay, sige.
DEF CON is the biggest hacker convention of the year. It's a place where thousands of hackers come to hear talks to demonstrate their newest hacks. It's actually a place that's so dangerous to be on the internet that they tell you to turn off the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth on your phone, and they tell you not to use the ATMs too, because those could be hacked as well. This is the DEF CON ballroom. This is sort of the main room where things are happening, and it's pretty wild. I think this is Car Hacking Village. This car is locked. Can you get me in?
I'll unlock it for you. Should be good.
Hacking is no longer like this fringe activity, and if you are at DEF CON, there's a good chance that you're here because you want to learn what could happen to you or your company.
Anyone here first time in the SCCTF? Holy crap.
I invited Chris to hack me with his team, but they're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
We help people with human security issues by testing vulnerabilities for like a network test, but it's for the people network. We test those vulnerabilities, see where the holes are, and then help people learn so they can patch them.
Can we try some of this? Can we try some?
Yeah.
See if it works?
Yeah, we probably could have our star Visher here make some phone calls as your
Let's do
girlfriend.
it.
Sure. Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice elicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Who are you gonna call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider
Okay.
and see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna spoof from your number, so it's gonna look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. My husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry, I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
gmail.com?
Jessica gets my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Shh. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account. Okay, my
Jessica uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry, so there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right, thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're gonna have to go on and change your password now because it's Jess, my name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
Yes.
I really thought that my cell phone company would protect me. I mean, like, this is the most basic stuff, and they're not doing it. And if they're not doing it, you know all these other businesses aren't doing it either. Anyone with a phone and an internet connection can do social engineering. But I was curious, what can a hacker with serious coding skills do?
Well, DEF CON is the world's biggest hacking convention. It's hacking everything, hacking social, hacking hardware, hacking software, hacking various systems.
I asked Dan Tentler, a well-known security researcher, to turn all of his firepower on me.
I did get into quite a number of things that I found.
So what were the first things you did? How did you start hacking me?
I quickly found your Squarespace blog and had an idea. Basically what I did was created a bogus Squarespace site and sent an email to you, a phish asking you to go to this website, run this certificate installer.
And I did it, because I'm an idiot.
So once you ran that, it gave me access to your computer, and I created several fake pop-ups that looked like system pop-ups that would ask you for your credentials.
You didn't even have to have my passwords.
No, you gave them to me.
I gave them to you.
Yeah. So I stole your 1Password keychain.
And 1Password is where I store all my other passwords. So effectively by...
And your social security number and your Amex stuff and all your stock trading and bank information. I can send email to everyone in this room as you. I am you right now, if I wanted to be. If my evilness is working correctly, it should actually be taking pictures of your desktop and pictures through your webcam every 2 minutes. And I have been watching you for about 2 days now. In coffee shops, at your mom's house, on a plane. Here's your editing stuff. There's you like.
Oh my God! So this is literally
every 2 minutes
through my webcam.
Yeah, through this guy.
How badly could you have messed up my life?
I could have made you homeless. I could have made you homeless and penniless.
How? How would you make me homeless?
Like I have control of your digital life in its entirety. I have all your credentials. I have all your access to all your financial information, all your work information, all your personal information. I can pay people with your bank account or your Amex account. I am you. I can fully impersonate. Like, the only thing I couldn't doctor would be like your fingerprints.
This is like as bad as it gets.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's bad.
So it turns out that Dan Tentler is very good at his job. I mean, he hacked the hell out of me. He got everything. I mean, frankly, I want to take my computer and throw it into the deepest part of the ocean, and I want to become a hermit, and I want to never touch a piece of technology again, because holy shit, that was everything. That was the keys to my entire life, and he just pulled them out of his pocket.
Words can be tricky, especially when writing in English.
Ayan, no? So, nakita natin sa video, there were three attacks na nangyari. First one would be to, they were able to open the car using hacking tools sa laptop. Second is yung ating Visure, voice solicitation. Tumawag siya sa bank company ni victim, and nakuha niya yung telecom company ni victim, then nakuha niya yung details. So in cases wherein, let's say, you're going to call your internet provider, customer service, kapag tinatanong tayo ng security information, we should understand where they are coming from. No? Kasi pag minsan, syempre, nagagalit tayo. Pero let's try to understand their jobs as well. I've been with the BPO company for around 6 to 7 years. So, alam ko yung konsepto na magagalit yung customer mo kasi hindi mo siya mabigyan ng access sa account niya dahil hindi niya ma-provide yung information na hinihingi. That's one way of protecting the customers as well. Yan. And on the third, kapag talagang gusto kang gustong-gusto kang biktimahin ng threat actor, magagawa niya. The likelihood of a person a person getting hacked, the probability of the person getting hacked would be dependent on three things. First is, dependent on the threat actor, and there are three things. First is their motivation. Gaano sila ka-motivated na i-hack ka? Yung desire talaga nila. Kasi kahit na mapigilan mo sila mapigilan mo man sila in a way, there will be cases wherein and okay na po. And so and nawala ako sa sasabihin ko, pero sige. Si threat actor kasi, ang gusto ni threat actor, kung gusto ka talagang yung likelihood mo na ma-attack ni threat actor would be dependent on three things. First is their motivation. Kung gusto ka talaga nilang atakihin kanila. Second is yung kanilang means, yung capability nila, at yung capability nila, ganun ba sila kagaling para i-hack ka. And the third is yung mga vulnerabilities or yung mga vulnerabilities na inaalaw natin sila na i-exploit tayo. Ayan. Merong tanong si Sir Eugene, tinanong niya how to avoid DDoS attack. Meron tayong mga packet analyzers, sir. Na kayang mag-drop ng malicious packets once na nakita ng system natin or ng network system natin na pwede nating i-whitelist yung mga IP addresses or pwede nating i-blacklist yung mga nanggagaling sa mga malicious IP addresses. Maraming paraan para ma-avoid yung ating DDoS attack. Okay. Sige. Ayan. Pero later I'll be showing you a video kasi I doubt na makakarating tayo sa cybersecurity tools, Sir Eugene. Pero hopefully I'll be sending this the whole F-Cert module to the organizers of this webinar, to TECH4ED, para po ma-send nila sa inyo kung kailangan. Ayan. Pero I doubt na madidiscuss natin siya ngayon, yung mga cybersecurity tools. Pero at least kung mabigyan ko man kayo ng idea na on how to create your own cert within your organization, have it certified by CertPH, good na po yun. Also, what are the things that we have to keep in mind in order for us to establish our own cert as well? And so ang pinaka-i-discuss natin ngayon would be how the cert manages the incidents that are reported to them and the cybersecurity landscape. So yun po. Open lang ako ng ano. Yan. So let's start with the first module of CERT, the cybersecurity threat and attack landscape. Ang agenda natin would be security concepts review, the recent major cyber incidents, although this slide was created around April. So malamang merong yung mga talagang recent hindi masasama dito. Recent major cyber incidents, threat landscape as seen by CertPH from January to April, and computer emergency response teams at a glance. Okay, Vulnerability. Vulnerability is any condition that leaves a device open to harm. It can be, earlier sa video na napanood natin, it was talking about human vulnerabilities. Pero as we go along with the security concepts, this would be computer vulnerabilities. And it's really hard. It's really hard to determine what a vulnerability is. Sometimes yung mga vulnerabilities na to are actually just based on a hunch. Hindi talaga natin alam kung ano yung mga vulnerabilities, pero malalaman natin, dito pwedeng pumasok si threat actor. With their knowledge, with their means, dito sila pwedeng pumasok. So dito, ito yung pwedeng vulnerability na pwede nilang i-exploit. So mga ganoon. So vulnerability would be kahinaan, translated in Tagalog. Threat would be banta. So threat is any event or action that could potentially cause damage to an asset. Pag wala kang asset, there's no threat. Kaya nga, banta saan? Banta sa buhay. So yung buhay yung pinaka mismong asset natin, or banta sa ating mga sa confidentiality, integrity, or availability of our information and information systems naman sa cybersecurity. Attack is a technique used to exploit a vulnerability in an application or physical computers without the authorization to do so. What I'd like you guys to see here is the concept na without the authorization to do so. So let's say, ako si government agency, pagpalagay natin ako si COA, nag-hire ako ng mga hackers para i-attack ako, and that would be for me to improve my responses from future attacks. That's not an attack. It's more of like a sparring, kumbaga. So without the authorization to do so, what if the government agency, let's say merong mandate yung government agency na i-hack si, let's say, si isang isang criminal. So they have the authorization to do so. So it's not an attack. Now, ang tawag natin sa mga hackers or yung mga nagpo-post ng mga threats online would be our threat actors, and this is how we categorize our threat actors as of the moment. Script kiddies, ito yung mga baguhan pa lang sa coding, hindi pa ganoon kagagaling. Most likely ang gagawin lang ni script kiddie would be to download the malware over the internet, and tatargetin niya kung sino yung gusto niyang targetin. Let's say si threat actor ay isang estudyante, ayaw niyang mababa yung grade niya, nagalit siya sa teacher niya. So sa Zoom meeting ayaw niya magkaroon ng klase, mga ganyan. Si script kiddie pwede niyang sendan ng malware para i-disrupt yung online classes nila. So pwedeng ganoon. Most threat actors or script kiddies are seeking attention. Parang, nahack ko si ganito, ang galing-galing ko. Ganon. Yan. And kapag hindi natin sila nahuli, habang script kiddie pa lang sila, they can evolve into other forms of threat actors such as organized cyber criminals, hacktivists, nation state. Inside threat, iba naman siya, pero it's a category as well. Pero iba naman siya. Wala itong hierarchy. Pero script kiddies can turn into this, such as organized cyber criminals. Ang pinaka form na ngayon ng form of profit na ngayon ng mga ating mga organized cyber criminals would be the Bitcoin. Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies. Ang ginagamit nila for ransomwares would be through cryptocurrencies kasi sobrang hirap i-track ng cryptocurrency. Sa hacktivist naman, ito, mas nakakatakot yung mga hacktivist kasi merong tumatakbo sa isip nila na they are willing to do it in a radical manner. So, yung motivation nila, sobrang taas ng motivation nila kasi it's already ideological. Nation state naman, this would be between countries, and insider threat would be about revenge. Let's say nagalit ka sa kumpanya, nilay off ka ng kumpanya, and bago ka pa man nila ma-terminate, mag-iiwan ka ng malware doon sa loob para i-destroy yung mga data na importante. So pwedeng ganoon din. So it is very important that not only we secure our networks, but also there should be policies that will guide us in order. I mean, yung polisiya natin would be to increase the security as well, such as kumbaga si insider, kunwari sa before pa man siya makapag-conduct ng kanyang revenge, he should not be allowed within the company's premises. Actually, apparent to sa mga call centers, and I really respect the BPO kasi meron silang mga polisiyang ganito. Let's say meron kang infraction, and that infraction can cause you to be terminated. So hindi ka na nila papayagang pumasok pa sa premises until you are able to clear a case, mga ganon. Kasi pwede kasi yung i-allow ka nila na time na nandoon ka sa loob, you will still be able to conduct a revenge on the company. Parang ganon. So meron dapat na mga polisiya na pag minsan sasabihin natin hindi natin naiintindihan or corny, tulad ng locking your computer screen, even just for pag aalis ka sa desk mo, even just for a second, sasabihin natin corny naman yan ng polisiya na yan. Pero malaki yung impact or malaki yung tulong na nabibigay niya sa security mismo. So even in such small policies, kahit sa mga maliliit na polisiya man lang, mababawasan na natin yung risk ng cyber attack. Ayan. So punta naman tayo sa recent major cyber incidents. Okay. SolarWinds supply chain attack. SolarWinds supply chain attack led to FireEye US government breaches. So, ang Department of Defense and Fortune 500 companies became vulnerable to the SolarWinds attack because there is this SolarWinds who is providing net management or network management systems. Ngayon, doon pumasok si threat actor. A vulnerability within the SolarWinds Orion monitoring product. So si Orion, isa siyang product ni SolarWinds. Ngayon doon pumasok yung ating mga threat actors, at dahil yung ating mga Fortune 500 companies and even government agencies in the United States trust Orion, therefore nakapasok yung malware, Sunburst and Supernova malware. Supply chain attack is a type of cyber attack targeting and attacking insecure elements of a software supply chain. And ito. So Microsoft issues critical update warning as Chinese hackers attack Exchange servers. This happened in March 3 of 2021, and zero-day vulnerability. I mean, vulnerabilities, meron kasing mga reports ng vulnerabilities na ginagawa, and there are vulnerabilities that are being discovered. A lot of vulnerabilities are being discovered on a daily basis. Thousands, mga ganyan, hundred thousands to millions. And zero-day vulnerability is something na it's a security flaw that has been disclosed but it is not yet patched. Let's say ako isang researcher, nakakita ako ng vulnerability. Pinost ko yon, dinisclose ko yung vulnerability na yon. Ngayon, nakita ngayon ng ating mga threat actors, may vulnerability palang ganyan. Now, yung let's say Microsoft is now going to start patching those vulnerabilities. Pero bago pa man sila makapag-patch, si threat actor natin, ine-exploit niya na yung tinatawag na zero-day vulnerabilities. Ayan. Hold on lang po. Ayan. So, sorry pala, chinarge ko lang yung laptop, di pala naka-charge. So, okay. Personal data of 533 million Facebook users leaked online, and even the Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and other co-founders were among the affected users. Around 880,000 exposed users in the Philippines. Yan. Cyber attack shuts down the largest oil pipeline in the US. State of emergency has been declared. This happened around May of 2021. The attack was conducted by the dark side ransomware gang. And yes, iisipin natin, oo, hindi naman ako apektado dito. Pero as an individual, sasabihin natin, ay, hindi naman ako ganun ka-apektado dito. Pero let's say, yung pipeline ng US yung naatake. I mean, ng Philippines. Although wala siyang immediate impact sa atin, pero pag tumaas yung gas, magtataasan na rin yung mga bilihin. So at some point, we are also stakeholders. Parang ganun. Where there is connectivity, there is a risk of cyber attack. So threat landscape as seen by CertPH. And out of the 339 incidents handled and investigated, so ang month nito would be January 56, 113 ng February, 91 ng March, and 79 ng April. 38% of those incidents were malware and malicious files. Now, what is a malware? Malware or malicious code muna. Malicious code is an undesired or unauthorized software placed on a target computer to disrupt operations. And malware, short for malicious software designed to infiltrate, damage, or obtain information from a computer system without the owner's consent. Again, the term is without, the idea is without the owner's consent. So observe indicators of compromise of known malwares. Philippine IP blocks were observed communicating with CNC would be command and control servers and sinkholes. Infected assets are being used for distribution of malware, and the common malware infection would be Trojan and Mirai, Emotet, and Botnet. So around 2016, there was this Russian guy, Russian student na ginamit niya yung Mirai para lang mag-take revenge sa kanyang eskwelahan. And once na pinost niya ito sa internet, nagkaroon na ngayon ng customization ng mismong malware, and it's being used for cyber attacks, specifically DDoS attacks. Yung Emotet naman, it's actually a known vulnerability. Pero nagkaroon na ito ng patch netong April of 2021 din. Nagkaroon na siya ng patch. So nagkaroon na ng kill switch kumbaga. Now, what is a Trojan? The idea of Trojan came from around the time of Homer. Ito yung konsepto ng Trojan horse sa Iliad. Just a quick history lang. Not necessarily history, pero sa epic ni Homer, they were trying to, the Greeks, pumunta yung mga Griego sa Troy para kunin si Helen, kumbaga. Ito yung mga time ni Helen, and once na nakita kasi ng mga Griego na sobrang impenetrable nung Troy, kaya ang ginawa na lang nila would be to devise a way on how to infiltrate. Ang ginawa nila would be they've created a Trojan horse. Ayan. Parang pinalabas nila na pinalabas nila sa mga Trojans na talo na kami, pero nagtago lang pala sila, and then they left a Trojan horse na akala ng mga Trojans ay gift from the gods. Ngayon ipinasok nila yung Trojan horse na yon, malaki yon, and sa loob ng Trojan horse merong mga army of Greeks, and that led to the destruction of Troy. Ayan. Ayun nga. So, ayan, nakasakay sila sa isang Trojan horse na kahoy. Yep, that's right. There is also this, ang Trojans kasi hindi naman siya nakakatakot kung tutuusin. Parang isa lang siyang application na nagpo-pose as okay. Pero ang problema kasi, at etong mga Trojans na to, merong mga payload sa loob. Merong mga iba't ibang mga malwares na nasa loob nitong Trojan na to. And these Trojans can become a remote access Trojan na pwedeng mag-control sa computer natin in the long run. Pwede niyang i-install yung i-install ni Trojan mismo yung software sa computer mo, and then it will communicate to the command and control server ng ating threat actor. Ayan. Now, botnet is a network of computers that has been infected with the malware and allows attackers to carry out attacks. Zombie computers or bots. So zombie ang tawag natin sa mga computers, and botnets are controlled and operated via remote programming. So ito nga, may tanong kasi sa akin kanina, although it was direct message, ang tanong is how to avoid DDoS attack. Ito yung common na ginagamit nila to conduct a DDoS attack. So hindi natin alam yung pala natin, mga webcams, ano po yan? Anong security cameras. Kasi dati yung mga security cameras natin, ano lang pupunta sa VHS tape. Ngayon kasi automatic papunta na siya sa cloud, and there can be vulnerabilities within this Internet of Things IoT devices na pwedeng i-exploit ni threat actor para makapag-conduct ng mas malaki pang cyber attack. So ito naman, ransomware. Ransomware is a type of malware that prevents or limits users from accessing their system either by locking the system screen or by locking the user's files until a ransom is paid. Yan nga. Actually, na-discuss naman na natin to kanina. And the indicators of ransomware would be unusual file extensions and presence of ransom notes. Sa ransomware kasi, i-encrypt ni ransomware yung mga data sa loob ng computer mo until in a way na hindi na magiging readable, kumbaga magiging na yung data mo. Yung mga, let's say, yung mga data natin na nakalagay sa Excel, mag-iiba na yung mga nakalagay sa loob, and that compromises the integrity, not only the integrity but also the availability of the data itself. Ayan. Sa double extortion tactic naman, this is the reason why it is not recommended to pay ransoms. You can still there are still ways on how you can get your data, pero it is not really recommended to pay ransoms sa mga ransomware cases. Ang ginagawa ng mga threat actors natin dito would be to sa extortion first extortion tactic nila would be to steal the data. Sasabihin nila, i-encrypt namin yung data mo, so hindi mo siya magagamit until magbayad ka ng ransom. So si victim magbabayad naman siya ng ransom, and after some time, si threat actor ulit, sasabihin naman ni threat actor, kung hindi ka magbayad ulit ng ransom, isi-send ko yung mga sensitive personal identifiable information sa public, etc. Kaya hindi talaga advisable na magbayad tayo when pag meron tayong pag na-experience tayo ng mga ransomwares. So there's this case, the Everest ransomware case. There was this Philippine government website that's being, there's this agency that has become a victim and these threat actors or the Everest ransomware gang, sinabi nila na nakakuha kami ng data sa inyo, ililik namin yung 24 gigabytes of data na nasa inyo. So what they did was, it was posted on the dark web. So nung nakita to ng CertPH, tinag niya si victim kinausap, syempre nakipag-communicate siya sa victim. And what they did was, the victim was immediately informed of the detected threat, and based on the findings, there were no unauthorized logins and unusual changes in their website and file system. So this can mean na etong case na to is a hoax. But still, ang pinaka-recommendation would be to advise the victim to have multiple and offline backups of their data and regularly implement security updates and patches. Also, continuous heightened monitoring for any imminent threat and updated information on the incident. So, kapag meron nangyaring cybersecurity incident and you're already confident na na-resolve mo na siya, siyempre hindi mo siya bibitawan kaagad. Kailangan i-monitor mo pa rin on a continuous basis. Kasi baka meron talagang mga malwares na akala natin naalis na natin sa mga computers natin, but they are persistent. And HTTP scanning, it may be a benign activity. It may be a research project or organizations looking for open or vulnerable services, but it can also be part of network reconnaissance in preparation of an attack. Pag sinabi nating reconnaissance, ito yung stage ng cyber attack. Ito yung pinaka-initial stage ng cyber attack na inespiyahan ka nila. Tinitignan nila kung ano yung vulnerabilities na pwede nilang i-exploit sa'yo para mapasok nila yung pinaka-end goal nila. Ayan. Hinahanap nila, such as hinahanap nila kung sino ka, or sino yung pinaka-victim sa organization, sino yung paano natin may papasok yung malware sa loob ng organization na to. Ayan. Brute force. So, brute force naman, it's a malicious brute force activities were observed originating from Philippine IP blocks. Compromised assets are used to launch attacks and enabling attackers to cover their tracks. Brute forcing is where attackers try to gain access to systems by trying multiple passwords or passphrases in the hope of eventually landing on the correct one. Yun nga, tulad nga ng sinabi ko earlier, merong mga programs na kayang manghula ng password natin, 3 billion passwords per second. So, isipin na lang natin, kaya hindi talaga advisable na gumamit tayo ng mga madadaling passwords. Mostly, ang dapat gamitin natin would be catchphrases. Alphanumeric, mas madali siya, pero syempre, mas madali siyang i-memorize, pero mas mahirap siyang mahirap siyang hulihin, kumbaga. It should be a combination of alphanumeric and symbols as well. Kung maglalagay tayo ng password, nakakita na kayo ng CD key. So, ang normally yung mga passwords ko as a person, ganoon yung nature ng aking mga passwords. 25 characters na alphanumeric, pero gibberish siya. Hindi siya basta-basta maiintindihan. So, isa din siya. And kung tutuusin, etong brute forcing na to, when we have passwords, yung website na may-ari or yung organization na may hawak ng ating mga passwords, meron yang database. Dahil meron yang database, magiging victim at magiging victim yan ng brute force attack. Pag wala namang, kaya nga ang ginagawa na natin ngayon would be to change it meron na tayong tinatawag na public key infrastructure, and instead of using passwords, hopefully I am looking at it na in the future, instead of using passwords, gagamit na tayo ng digital certificates to access or log in to our to the things that we'd like to log into. Parang ganun. So digital certificates na malamang ang gagamitin natin in the future instead of using passwords. Now, Philippine government websites continue to be targeted, and successful defacement advertises weak security, and this can cause brand and reputational damage. So, nalaman natin recently na nagkaroon ng breach sa BDO. Siyempre magkakaroon na ng pag-iisip yung public na, na-hack pala kayo. Na-hack pala kayo, bakit ko ipagkakatiwala yung pera ko sa inyo? 'Di ba? Parang magkakaroon kasi ng ganoong pag-iisip yung mga tao. So, successful defacement advertises weak security. And also, yes po, ang nangyari, sir, tama po Sir Eugene, actually multi-factor authentication. Ang nangyari kasi sa BDO is that the two-factor authentication was bypassed. Yes, mas maganda sana kung layered, multi-layered yung authentication. Yung SMS o one-time PIN ata na bypass ng ating mga threat actors. Maybe I'm not really sure about what happened with BDO. So, pero hopefully makaka-bounce back naman sila. Maganda naman yung BDO as an organization. Pero from what I've gathered so far, parang parang gumagamit pa sila ng old system and they are already trying to migrate to a new one. Siguro dahil old yung system, nakakita yung threat actors ng vulnerabilities doon sa loob. Yes, BDO is currently trying to warn the public as well to change their passwords regularly, etc. Pero ang sinasabi naman ng ating Yan. Ang sinasabi naman ng ating is that it's not a phishing attack. The problem or the vulnerability that was exploited was not coming from the victims. Nandoon siya sa loob ng victim organization mismo. And hopefully, yes po. It is kaya nga it is very advisable na magkaroon tayo ng CERT or C-CERT within our organizations to at least yung mga nangyayari ng cyber attack sa atin ay hindi na maulit-ulit, kumbaga. Ayan. Or pwede din hindi naman talaga siya third time. I'm not sure if it's the third time, but if it's the case, it may not be kung baka kasi isa lang din ang threat actor niyan, or it can also be an insider threat or an inside job. We'll just wait kung ano yung sasabihin ng BDO about this. Hopefully, yung government agents, yung government natin matutulungan din naman sila dito. And the perpetrators will be caught, kumbaga. And I'm not really sure, sir, kung ano ngayon, pero yun nga. Yes po, meron po tayong attendance. Yes po. Later ibibigay po ng ating ng ating mga organizers. So website defacement, web defacement, unauthorized modification of contents on the site. How it works, so the attacker exploits a vulnerability, uses stolen login credentials to access the application, and the use of probing tools. Ang attacker motivation would be hacktivism and self-promotion. Data breach, ito yung pinakamalala. Kumbaga, oftentimes organizations discover that they have been breached after it happened. And sometimes, meron ding mga organizations na na-breach na pala sila na matagal na, hindi pa din nila alam hanggang sa ngayon. And data breaches takes a long road to recovery. So, paano natin malalaman if our emails have been part of data breaches? Ilalagay natin siya sa Have I Been Pwned. We can use Have I Been Pwned para makita natin kung nagamit yung ating mga emails or na-compromise yung ating mga emails. So what do we need to do when a breach occurs? So first priority is to identify the scope and extent of the incident. Ano ba nangyari? Then, gaano kalala? And sino-sino mga customers ang naging apektado? Now, check and verify the contents of the published leaked data. Investigate log files for any indication of data exfiltration and any other malicious activities, and inform the affected parties. Yun, it is very important to inform the affected parties kasi yes, you've been breached, you've compromised your customers or your clients, pero they have the right to know what's going on. At least inform natin sila para yun nga papalitan yung kanila mga passwords and for them to secure themselves as well. So to this reality, technology has become more than a supplement to a company's operation. So hindi na lang talaga siya supplement eh. Nakita nga natin na kahit sa sector ng education, naging core operation natin during the time of pandemic yung online classes, mga ganyan. Yung jobs na ginagawa mostly sa loob ng isang company tulad ng let's say work at home call centers. Ayan. Nakapag-try din ako, so nag-work at home din ako for around 6 months sa isang call center. And it's more than a supplement to a company's operations, and in many cases the assets living on their network are their core operations. Ang ginagawa so expanding cyber attack surface, remote work, Internet of Things, at saka mga supply chain, and as may mas loob, it is not a matter of can but when. And so it is very important that each stage of a cyber attack meron tayong paraan para iprotektahan yung mga sarili natin. So kaya nga hindi dapat tayo nag-overshare online kasi pwedeng makita ni threat actor kung ano yung mga lagi nating binivisit na mga website. And once they target us, kung sobrang taas talaga ng kanilang motivation para targetin tayo or para makapag-conduct ng successful attack, makakapag-conduct talaga sila ng successful attack. And we'd have to prepare ourselves before, during, and after a cyber attack. Computer emergency response teams at a glance. What is a CCERT or CERT? So CCERT, normally, ang CERT kasi is a trademark. It was trademarked by Carnegie Mellon University. So, hindi dapat siya ginagamit na basta-basta. Pero, pwede naman magkaroon ng other terms such as CSIRT or Computer Security Incident Response Team, or siguro data breach management system. Meron din or management team, data breach management team. I believe one among the provincial governments that I've talked to before had this, and it's good. So it supports a defined constituency, provides services and support throughout incident life cycles, and CERT requires multitasking and organizational skills. Ayan, ito nga yung services ng ating CERT, the reactive service, the proactive service, and security quality management. Sa reactive service, mag-a-alert or magwa-warn. Incident handling, so nandito na incident analysis, incident response, incident report, saka incident response coordination. Vulnerability handling, vulnerability analysis, vulnerability response, saka vulnerability response coordination, and artifact handling as well. Sa proactive services naman, proactive meaning hindi pa nangyayari yung incident. So they are checking for announcement, they are giving out announcements, technology watch, security audits or assessments, configuration and maintenance of security tools, applications and infrastructures, development of security tools, intrusion detection services, and security-related information dissemination. Sa security quality management naman would be risk analysis, business continuity, and disaster recovery planning. So what are we going to do after a breach has occurred? Ayan. Security consulting, awareness building, so kasama din to. Education or training, and product evaluation or certification. And so we're done with our first agenda for today. Meron pa tayong isa pang agenda would be the incident management life cycle. And later I'll be showing you a video about our third and fourth module, na nakita ko na video na pwedeng mag-summarize ng third and fourth module natin. Ayan. Cyber incident management naman. Paano ba minamanage ng CERT PH yung mga incidents na nakukuha nila? So mostly, this slide was created on the 27th of May 2021. So meron na malamang mga updates about this. Pero ayan. So ang agenda would be introduction to cybersecurity standards and framework, introduction to cyber incident management, escalation procedures, at saka triage activities. So ito nakakita na natin kanina, but I'd like you to focus on the 5 things below. Identify, protect, detect, respond, at saka recover. This is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. Ayan, identify, meaning identify, focus on identifying and knowing what should be protected. Ayan. Sorry, mute muna kita. And papaalam lang po ako. Okay. Sige. So focus on identifying and knowing what should be protected. Siyempre, when we say focus on identifying and knowing what should be protected, we are the object is the assets. Ano yung mga bagay na importante sa atin? Bakit natin kailangang protektahan ng isang bagay, di ba? It would be medyo malabo kasi na mag-create ka ng security without knowing what you are protecting, di ba? So, what we're going to identify should be the assets that we need to protect. Pwedeng hardware, pwedeng yung mga video cards, and the video cards or yung mga importanteng mga hardware sa buong network natin, or yung network natin mismo, or mga data that includes that has confidential information in it, and a lot of things. So, what are the assets that I would like to protect? Parang ganun. So, sa identify, we are talking about the assets. Now, protect would be the implementation of necessary level of protection for the identified assets. Siyempre, mag-iisip din tayo, baka mamaya mas mahal pa yung security natin kaysa sa asset natin. So mas valuable pa yung parang mas mahal pa yung security level of security na ilalagay natin para protektahan yung bagay na wala namang silbi para sa atin, kumbaga. So, implement the necessary level of protection for the identified assets. Okay po. Thank you, sir. Yan. Sa detect naman, it's the capability to recognize if there is any cybersecurity incident impacting the protected assets. And respond is our capability to handle the detected cybersecurity incidents, and the recover would be the restoral of the business operation. So, identify the assets that we would like to protect. Implement the necessary level of protection. We should have the capability to detect if there is an incident, and how do we respond sa incident na to, and the recovery, the restoral of the business operation. Now, incident management, papasok siya between detection, sa gitna ng detection, saka response. So, this is the incident response life cycle and the triage analysis. So, what is incident management? So, incident management helps cybersecurity workforce insert the benefits of having a structured approach on how to manage events and incidents properly, defining process flow, transforming data to information, and its implementation. So, what do we need to do to accomplish the goals of incident management? Detect and identify events, triage and analyze events, respond and recover from an incident, and improve the organization's capabilities for responding to a future incident, and focuses on how to manage incidents effectively throughout the incident response life cycle. Yan. What is incident response? So it is a structured methodology for handling security incidents, breaches, and cyber threats. The methodology can effectively identify, minimize the damage, and reduce the cost of a cyber attack while finding and fixing the cause to prevent future attacks. Ayan. Goal of incident response would be to limit as much as possible the disruptions to the network and to the business operation. So, mas lesser yung time na wala yung business operation na yon, the better. Ito yung incident response life cycle natin. First is preparation. These are the things that we do to prevent an incident happening. Then next is detection and analysis. Then containment, eradication, and recovery. So once we are at the containment, eradication, and recovery stage, babalik tayo sa detection and analysis because some malwares are persistent in nature. Akala natin wala na siya sa system natin pero meron pa pala. And if we are to restore our business operations na meron pa yung malware na yon, then pwedeng mas lalala pa yung nangyayari. So, detection and analysis. Tapos pag na-detect natin, meron pa pala. Then pupunta ulit tayo sa containment, eradication, and recovery. And then until we are confident enough to say na, hey, I can now restore my business operation. Now, dito tayo papasok ngayon sa post-incident activity. Dito papasok yung mga lessons learned, ano-ano yung mga steps, ito-document natin lahat kung ano yung nangyari, aayusin natin para makapag-create tayo ng information and intelligence to prepare for this type of attack again. Parang ganun. Ano yung mga magaganda nangyari? Ayan. Ano yung pwede nating i-improve? Mga ganoon. So sa preparation stage, these are the steps taken before any incident occurs, and this includes guidelines, plans, tools, and other information in place that can support your team in preventing and responding to cyber attacks faster and more effective. It will also help your organization to ensure that your team can act before, during, and after a cyber attack. Sa preparation, there are a lot of things such as preparedness program. Yung mga policies natin, are our policies sufficient para i-secure yung network natin? Siyempre, dito na rin papasok yung creation of incident response teams within our organization. Dapat alam natin, kunwari malaki na talaga yung organization natin, kailangan na talaga natin mag-create ng incident response kasi at least alam natin kung sino yung tatawagin natin kapag nagkaroon ng incidents. But also, we have to understand our organization's operations in order for us to prepare. Kasi pwede kasing, ang preparation kasi is tailor-fitted to an organization. Nakadepende siya sa mismong organization. It must be custom built para at least meron kasing mga securities na pwedeng nagdi-disrupt din ng operations natin. So kailangan aralin natin na maigi yan. Identification and inventory of the assets that needs to be protected and prioritized. Ano-anong mga assets yung kailangan ko talagang lagyan ng layer of protection? Siyempre magtatanong tayo, ano bang architecture ang maganda anong network architecture ang maganda? Ang pinakamagandang network architecture would be the segmented one. Iba yung segmented and layered. Iba yung access ni let's say sa mga government agencies, iba yung access ni corporate policy planning department, iba yung access ni ganitong department, magkakaiba sila ng access. Para at least kapag nagkaroon ng breach sa isang department, hindi siya kakalat sa iba't ibang mga departments. So merong segmentation kumbaga. Establish systems for recording, monitoring, and ticketing of incidents, the use of equipment and technology to detect and address a cybersecurity incident. Outline the roles, responsibilities, and procedures of your team. Sino-sino yung magre-report sa ganito, sino-sino yung para sa media, kumbaga, kung ganoon sa kalawak, sino-sino yung pwedeng humawak, sino-sino yung magre-respond dito, sino yung sino yung magiging security analyst natin, mga ganyan. And in the preparation stage as well, there should be an incident response toolkit. Ano-ano yung mga tools na pwede nating gamitin. And we should have a clear communication channels. If possible, we should develop common incident playbooks. Let's say, ano yung gagawin natin kapag, para siyang fire drill kumbaga. Although sa fire kasi, ang titignan lang natin sa fire is the magnitude. Pero ang pinagkaiba kasi ng fire sa kayong sa mga cyber attacks is that merong mga attack vectors. Magkakaiba ng types ng atake ang pwedeng gamitin ng ating mga threat actors dito. So, develop common incident playbooks. Let's say may ransomware, anong gagawin natin? Pinapasok tayo ng DDoS attack, ano yung pwede natin gawin? Mga ganun. Dapat meron tayong common incident playbooks na sinusundan. Although syempre, although meron tayong mga sinusundan, kailangan din marunong tayo mag-react, kumbaga, sa kung ano talaga yung nangyayari. Baka kasi hindi napasok yung incident playbook natin sa kung ano talaga yung nangyayari. Kailangan nating maintindihan kung ano talaga yung nangyayari para makapag-create tayo ng mas matinong response. Now, sa detection and analysis, detect and analyze events in order to determine if these events are considered security incidents. And it requires to use tools, systems, and skills of incident response personnel in monitoring and identifying any unusual activity or events that may compromise confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the organization information and systems. So focus on alerts and reports about potential malicious activity or vulnerabilities. This can include alerts from your technology network provider, loss or breach of a device, including personal mobiles that staff use to access work emails. So these policies, like, let's say, pag nawalan ng cellphone yung isang employee natin, yung cellphone are they comfortable with reporting such incidents or not? Kasi pwede kasing this was conducted through a social engineering, and kapag nawala yung mobile phone mo, hindi lang ikaw as an individual yung compromise, but also the people that's working within your organization. General day-to-day indicators such as unusual email activity, incident reports are being informed by staff or customers that a breach has already occurred. So what are the detection methods? There are a lot of detection tools na pwede nating gamitin. Intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, firewall, ayan. It can also be kung ganon kalaki yung ating organization, makakailangan na tayo ng Security Operations Center, CSIRTs using tools na monitor continuously. Reported by end users or victims such as traditional antivirus, anti-malware, computer users, and victims, and also detected by external security teams and researchers. Kapag merong report sa atin na, hey, yung organization mo nagkaroon ng breach, wag natin siya basta-basta i-brush off. Aralin natin kung totoo ba yun or is it a hoax. Sa containment, the goal is to check the affected system or digital assets and to limit the damage from the current incident. It is also important to prevent the destruction of evidence that may be needed for legal proceedings. Sa containment pa din, removing the system from the network by disconnecting it, isolating the system by way of network segmentation, utilize virtual local area network, utilize firewall rules, monitoring the attacker communication channels and activities on the system, carefully gathering of information and evidences for legal proceedings, redirecting traffic, and whitelisting of IPs to boot out attackers. So pag naka-whitelist lang yung mga IP addresses na inaalaw natin sa system natin, then hindi makakapasok yung ibang mga threat actors kumbaga. Approval in accessing the victim machines and related applications, possibly sensitive data, ensures contaminated by non-incident communications to incident response in higher ups is necessary so that we're well informed and come with decisions. To be able to be reliably recover, wipe out content and the image of affected system hard drives to ensure any malicious content is removed. The prevention of the root cause, applying basic security practices, for example, upgrading old software versions and disabling unused services. Meron kasi mga old systems na mahirap i-patch kumbaga, and this creates pwedeng yung hindi vulnerable sa kanya kahapon, pwedeng maging vulnerable na siya ngayon. So, it's still best to use updated softwares. Scan for malware. Use anti-malware software to scan affected systems and ensure all malicious content is removed. Recovery involves cautiously bringing back all systems affected to full operation after verifying systems are clean. Yes po. I'll be sending a copy of it. Close monitoring of systems are necessary as possible as for the possibility that infection or agent might be persisted through the eradication. Recovery. So yan. Test and verifying, monitoring, do everything to prevent another incident, considering what can be done on the restored systems to protect them from the recurrence of the same incidents. I'm not sure if it's Cicero or si Julius Caesar nagsabi na it's just a shame to stumble on the same stone twice. So at least we learn from our mistakes. We learn from the lapses na nangyari. Let's say naka-experience tayo ng cybersecurity incident, at least we should learn something from it para mapigilan na yung ganong ulit na pangyayari, kumbaga. And post-incident activity, dito papasok yung mga final reports. Important considerations are detailing how the attack can be detected and identified sooner, including observed gaps in the incident response processes. Completing documentation, identify ways to improve cert performance. Parang magkakaroon kayo ng strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, SWOT analysis, and establish a benchmark for comparison. This can be used to guide us in future incidents. Lessons learned meeting and yung scope ng incident, how was it contained, how was it eradicated, ano yung work performed during recovery, can anything be done to prevent it, and areas where the CERT team were effective and areas that needs improvement. So, hindi ko na nga ata may play yung video natin. So bale, ang gagawin ko na lang, I'll just be sending paano ba? Giving you the link. It's in Facebook. In YouTube rather. Ayan. So eto, meron siyang, kung makikita natin sa incident response, merong process flow kumbaga. So, document from which sector or critical infrastructure the victim came from. Is the reported incident a cyber attack or is it a cyber crime? Then, document how the cyber incident reached your CERT or CCERT, completeness of the notification, how recent is the cyber incident, and what are the responder skill set to handle the reported incident and the workload of the incident responder. Ito pa din, response process for major incident, especially data breach, increase CERT engagement, and get as much as details from the victim organization. Yes, ma'am. Later po, sige ma'am, sasagutin natin yan. Level of cooperation of the victim, this should be documented. And properly document all steps made by the analyst. Tapos use playbook if available. Entry point, ano yung entry point ng cyber attack? Dapat kaya natin siyang identify and document the challenges that was encountered. Then, what kind of incident needs to be forwarded to law enforcement agencies? What is the average remediation time? And close ticket and remediated and close tickets with no response from the victim. Ayan. So sa triage naman, triage is post-detection incident response process with various preliminary actions that will help any responder to declare an incident or label it as false positive. Triage is utilizing different resources and querying activities to understand and accurately evaluate the detected incident. So ano yung importanteng activity sa triage? It's event categorization, event prioritization, event data correlation and analysis, and recognizing an incident and activation of a complete incident response procedure. So paano ba mag-triage ang CERT or NCERT? So they will base it on the attack vector and the complexity. So red kapag ransomware, DDoS affecting all critical sectors, meaning critical info and infrastructure would include government agencies. And so ang pinaka may responsibility sa kanya would be the Security Operations Center Manager. Ang response time is 2 hours upon ticketing and VEC of the incident. So same, yung complexity lang talaga nung attack yung titignan natin dito. Are we going to consider it as critical, high, yellow, elevated, moderate, low? It will depend. Pero syempre iisipin din natin, although meron tayong guidelines, what if, let's say merong isang organization, isang business organization na nag-report sa CERT na natag natin as critical. Pero nakita din natin na may kasabay naman siyang incident na let's say Office of the President, na-atake yung Office of the President and we tagged it as orange. Alin yung ipaprioritize natin? Siyempre dun pa rin tayo sa Office of the President. Uunahin pa rin natin 'yon. Although meron tayong sinusundan na framework, kailangan alam natin kung kailangan alin talaga yung pinakauunahin natin. May naririnig po ba ako?
Yes po sir, narinig po namin kayo.
Kasi si Ma'am Shalom daw po wala daw siyang marinig. Ma'am, ayan. Ayan, So mostly naman ang nagva-vary lang dito would be the responsibility, kung sino merong responsibility, decision contingency, and report time frame. Yung response time naman, it's still 2 hours. After the complexity of the attack, meron ding ginagamit na functional impact guide. So sa functional impact, let's say the victim is experiencing a DDoS attack. Tapos hindi na makapag-online yung mga customers ni victim organization. Hindi na siya makapag-conduct ng business operation, so it's tagged as high. So if the organization has lost the ability to provide critical service to a subset of system users, let's say sa mga galing lang sa specific na lugar, pwedeng itag as medium. Minimal effect if the organization can still provide all critical services to all users but has lost efficiency. Lost efficiency meaning bumabagal na siya, hindi na siya mabilis, and no effect would mean that the organization still able to provide all the services to its users. Tapos ganun pa rin yung bilis ng service delivery. Information impact naman, it's tagged as classified if the confidentiality of classified information was compromised. Proprietary pag part na siya ng proprietary breach, and privacy pag privacy breach like sensitive personal information, sensitive personal identifiable information, let's say then integrity loss, sensitive data was changed or was deleted, and none naman kapag no information was exfiltrated, changed, deleted, or otherwise compromised. Recoverability. So sa recoverability natin, it's tagged as not recoverable na kapag yung recovery hindi na talaga makaka-recover. Extended kapag time to recovery is still unpredictable, pero additional it is not still tagged as not recoverable, pero alam nating mahihirapan talaga tayo, tapos malaki yung cost na kakailanganin natin. Supplemented kapag predictable naman, alam natin kung ano yung kailangan nating gawin, alam natin kung kailan makaka-recover yung isang business operation. Regular kapag time to recovery is predictable with existing resources. So sa regular versus supplemented, ang pinagkaiba lang nila is merong mga kailangan pang additional resources. Sa not applicable, okay naman yung system. It does not require recovery. And analysts can declare that there is an incident. This can happen both internal and external. Engagement to affected systems owner or entity is initiated. Yeah. So in cases wherein the case needs to be forwarded to law enforcement agencies, reach to an agreement regarding the preservation of digital artifacts that will be forwarded. Ito. Okay, so I guess sobrang kulang kasi ng oras natin, pero hopefully maka-attend pa kayo ng ibang mga seminars about FCERT soon. So let's just focus on the important things, and before I'll end my piece
Parang
for
wala pong sounds.
Meron po. Okay po yung sound.
at okay. Ayan. Hindi, finorward ko lang kasi medyo mas importante kasi to. So, what are the cybersecurity habits for incident responders? Would be changing the default passwords, thinking twice before clicking unknown links, and opening email from unknown senders. At least we should be skeptical, no? Hindi dapat yung basta-basta. Kailangan at least gumagana yung ating skepticism. Allowing a week without updating your backup. Verifying requests of your private information. So there was this case where pumunta ako sa isang convenience store. Supposedly ang nakalagay doon is for contact tracing siya, pero nakita ko kasi sa paper yung kinukuha yung information mo pero hindi naman siya for contact tracing. Ang nakalagay doon is for promotional services. Yun yung nakalagay sa papel. So sinabihan ko yung convenience store and I've reported it sa barangay na nakakasakop doon. The good thing is ang bilis naman mag-respond ng barangay and they were able to change the form as soon as possible. Kasi kung titignan natin kung magsasign ka doon, di ba? Pipirma tayo doon. Na sinasabi, tapos ang nakalagay doon ay gagamitin yung mga information natin for promotional purposes instead of contact tracing, di ba mali? So yun, kahit yung mga simpleng mga ganitong bagay lang, kahit yung pag-resist mo, let's say pipicturan ka ni delivery rider, tapos pipicturean ka, 'di ba? Kasi kapag inaalaw natin tong mga ganitong mga practices, syempre ang mga businesses will tailor fit kung ano yung gumagana sa public, kung ano yung behavior ng public. Kung ina-accept ng public yung behavior ng mga ganito, okay lang din sa mga ayun nga. So, you get what I mean? Parang kapag hindi tayo nagre-resist, pag hindi tayo nag-o-offer ng resistance para sa mga ganitong uri ng practices, magiging exposed tayo online. So, not only you're also protecting other people as well, not only yourself. Then, securing your area and locking your computer screen before leaving them unattended even just for a second. Not using company email address in registering to non-office related websites and services. Using passwords for different social media accounts. Ayan.
Mag-simulit pa.
Ayan. So, let me answer a few questions. Sir, may mga apps po ba kayo na pwede i-recommend to make our personal devices more secured? Ma'am Geraldine, most likely, meron naman kasing mga applications na, let's say, tailor-fitted din kasi yan sa mga needs natin. Let's look at vulnerabilities as a thing na kung sino yung pinagkakatiwalaan natin. Let's say, our antivirus provider. Sino ba yung tingin natin na pinakamagandang antivirus provider sa ngayon? It depends on kung paano natin paganahin yung buhay natin. Kasi pwede kasing excessive eh. Pwedeng kailangan mo bang bumili ng Norton or yung mga paid version kapag
we highly recommend joining work.
Ayan, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Hindi parang parang it's mostly check the legitimacy of the application provider na kakailanganin mo. So, ganun ko siya tinitignan. It's not like recommending a certain application or anything such as that. What I'd like us to have in mind is that we are vulnerable depende sa mga ina-allow natin na ginagamit natin. The more complex we become, the more complex we are, the more vulnerable we become. Parang yung mga day-to-day activities natin, lalong-lalo na nag-ine-expose natin siya online, mas vulnerable tayo sa mga ganitong uri ng atake. Do you think, sir, that the national ID system would be a great chance for the hackers to dig in one's personal hidden or confidential activities? Ganito. I trust the national ID system na meron siyang, na kaya namang i-secure ng Philippine Statistics Authority yung ating data, no? Naniniwala naman ako na kaya natin siyang i-secure. National ID can be parang ano kasi siya, parang it's more of like there'll be another ways on how the threat actors are going to complicate their attacks, parang gano'n. So yes, I understand yung skepticism ni Miss Shalom, and it's good, pero cost benefit analysis tayo. The cost and the benefit, and do we trust the PSA na kaya niyang i-secure yung national ID natin? I believe it's PSA, no? So since kaya niya namang i-secure yan, I think kaya niya namang i-secure yan, and I trust the PSA will do so. I trust the government will do so. So yes. Yes and yes ang sagot sa tanong mo. It's a great chance for the hackers to dig in one's personal information if the PSA cannot, if hindi kaya ng government na i-secure ito. Ayan. Antivirus like Avast, Norton, Use Ledger, yeah. Ayan. Sir, and ano mas prefer nyo na, Ma'am Shalom, nasagot ko po ba yung tanong nyo or mas lumabo po? And waiting lang ako ng response din, pero sagutin ko na lang din yung ano mas prefer na OS, Mac, Linux or Windows in terms of security? As per the preference, Sir Jay, mostly kasi ang tinitingnan ko when it comes to preference is the capability or kung ano yung swak sa akin. Kasi in terms of security, halos pare-parehas lang sila. Although I've had Windows for quite some time, pero wala naman akong naging problems na aware ako sa paggamit ng or na-aware ako na hindi ko nagawan ng paraan through Windows. I'm still with Windows as of the moment, but it depends on your preference on how and how you are going to conduct yourself on a daily basis. Parang pag mas proficient ka sa Windows, pag mas proficient ka sa Mac or Linux, it depends. Pero in terms of security, most likely, I'll go with Linux. Yes po. As per looking at our cybersecurity as of the moment, Ma'am Shalom, nakikita ko na we have the capability na protektahan naman yung ating mga datos. And yes, Sir Eugene, some viruses are designed for Windows. Most likely, puro exe kasi yung mga files na yon. So, ayan. Depende, Sir Ariel. Depende po eh. I don't know what you mean by siguro parang ganito yan. The usage of these softwares like TeamViewer, Chrome Remote Desktop, parang kasi siya eh. Parang 'di ba ito yung yung parang magkakaroon ka ng access sa computer ng ibang tao, 'di ba? Depende, hindi ko alam kung pero this already creates a vulnerability within the person na kinukuhanan, na hawak-hawak natin yung kanilang mga computers. Ayan. Anong oras na ba? 11:53. Okay. So, everyone, what I'd like you guys to do is I'll be like getting a link for a video. Hold on lang po. Ayan. So, etong video na to is it's called the kill chain. Yung kill chain kasi is the stages of a cyber attack, and the good thing about this video, malalaman mo na yung kanyang yung stages at ano yung mga pwede nating gawin per stage na yun. Okay? The goal of CERT is hopefully in the future magkaroon na tayo ng certs sa lahat ng mga organizations, lalo na yung mga malalaking organizations and companies na kailangan talaga nilang protektahan yung kanilang mga assets or kanilang mga information. And what I'd like us to have in mind right now, and hopefully if you are a decision maker in your organization, hopefully you're looking at it in a way na, yes, kakailanganin ko to, kailanganin ko mag-set up ng cert, ipapacertify ko sa cert PH para at least nakakatulong din ako sa public, and at the same time na natutulungan ko rin yung ibang tao. Ayan. Ayan. May tanong si Sir Jan Paulo. Safe po bang gumamit ng virtual machines para matest po yung malwares? Ginawa ko na yan, pero make sure po, Sir Jan Paulo, na yung computer na ginagamit mo ay hindi yung work computer mo. Dapat meron kang computer for, siguro kung hindi naman ganon kahalaga sa yung computer na yon, yes, you can actually do that. It is safe naman. Para sa akin, ginawa ko na rin siya. And hopefully to all of our participants for today, let me just thank you for listening to me. Sobrang masaya ako na nandito ako ngayon. We've had around 100 participants, and natutuwa ako na marami ng mga tao na na sobrang, alam niyo yun, yung nagiging, gustong maging aware sa cybersecurity.
Alright po. Thank you so much, Sir Dom. I will share my screen na po.
Sure ma'am, sure po.
Ayan. Meron pa po bang pahabol na question regarding sa topic natin today, kay Sir Dom? If meron pa, you can unmute yourself so that we can masagot na ito ni Sir Dom agad-agad. So, ayan. Anyone, meron pa bang tanong? Meron pa ba? May hahapal pa ba? Ayan. Tingin ko na-cover na lahat no, ng ating resource speaker.
Ayan. Ma'am, may tanong ata. Yung tools, sir, sabi ni Sir Noel Chris Hernandez. Sir Noel, I'll be sending out the modules 3 and 4, vulnerability management and the cybersecurity tools. And also, please watch the video that I have sent, yung video about the cyber kill chain, and you'll be able to have an idea of which tools to use. Ayan, sasend ko lang po ulit. Ayan po. Which tools to use in the stages of a cyber attack. Ayan.
Thank you so much po, Sir Dom.
Ma'am Rana? Ma'am
Yes,
Rana?
Yes, po.
I'll be sending you a copy of the presentations that I have discussed, same with the modules na kaya ba nating i-send siya sa ating mga participants na nandito ngayon?
Yes po. Pwede natin i-attach yung materials as well the certificate po, no?
Okay po. Ayan, hintayin na lang po natin kay Ma'am Rana, no?
Okay po, ayan. Thank you po.
Thank you, everyone.
It looks like that we've covered all our questions, all right. And now we will giving the certificate of recognition to our resource speaker, of course. Ayan, let me read the citation first. This certificate of recognition is awarded to Sir Lindomar Tuscano in grateful recognition of his invaluable support as resource speaker during the webinar entitled Cybersecurity Introduction to Foundation Community Risk Operation of the Technology Empowerment Forum expert of the Department of Information signed by our Regional Director Engineer Reynaldo TC. So please give a virtual clap to Sir Lindomar Tuscano. Ayan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you po, Ma'am Rana. The pleasure is mine po. Thank you so much.
To formally end this webinar, may I call on our Technical Operations Division Chief, Engineer Petronilo Villafuerte, to give us his closing remarks. Good afternoon, Sir Nilo.
Thank you, Ma'am Rana. To everyone present in today's virtual seminar, good day po sa ating lahat. First and foremost, sa ngalan ng DICT Luzon Cluster 2, headed by our Director Engineer Reynaldo TC, our sincerest gratitude to Mr. Lindomar Tuscano, our resource speaker, for being with us in this online event to share his time, knowledge, and expertise, as well as the best practices regarding the topic on cybersecurity, Introduction to Foundation of Computer Response Team Operation. To all the participants, we believe you enjoyed the learning from our speakers, and surely you gained knowledge regarding the various cyber threats and its targets, and how you handle properly all your important data or information devices, and your network as well, and actions to this for transacting business in the internet. Driven by the impact of the pandemic and also to catch up with other countries of digitalization, we can't help but we need to be technologically reliant for us to address the present challenges we are now facing. Further, this webinar, you learn what are the do's and don'ts while getting into the cyberspace, and be aware and apply the countermeasures and remedies in addressing such data breaches, threat actors, and other cyber threats, such as identity or personal data theft or damage. Marami na ang nabiktima ng online scam dahil sa di tayo maingat sa ating mga mahalagang impormasyon na di dapat makuha o malaman ng mga cyber attackers. Thus, the necessity of having the computer emergency response team is a must, especially in our organization, to address cyber threats, vulnerabilities, and other cyber attacks we will be encountering while in the cyber world. Lastly, to my colleagues in the ICT Luzon Cluster 2 family, under our TECH4ED team, to Ma'am Rana Capiral, Ma'am Niena Santiago, Sir Mark Benicio, and also Sir Carlo Abad, thank you so much for all the effort in making this webinar successfully happen today. Muli, maraming salamat at palain tayo lagi ng pukong may kapal.
Alright, thank you so much po Sir Nilo, no? Ayan. So, para naman po sa post-evaluation link, kailangan nyo pong sagutan to. Yung mga participants po here, ito na din po yung mag-serve ng attendance po. So, ayan. Also, may I request to have picture po, no? Parang group picture para makita po natin lahat yung everyone. So, may I request everyone to open their camera so that we can take a photo. Sir Mark. Ayan. Mag-stop share lang ako, then mag-open ka muna po. Everyone.
So, 4 slides po tayo. Yung sa first slide po muna. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Next po. 1, 2, 3. Third slide po. 1, 2, 3. Then last na po. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much po.
And po, i-share ko ulit yung, yung post-evaluation link. Na-share ko na din siya sa chat box. So, ayan. Ito po siya ulit. Nasa chat box na rin po yan, no? Ayan. I'll send it again. Ayan po. So, pakisagutan nyo na lang po, no?
Opo. Hello po. Sensya na po. Hindi ko lang kung nasama ako sa picture. Tinawag kasi ako kanina eh.
Okay po, sir.
Okay, anyway, nabuksan ko yung camera ko po. Sana kasama po ako. Thank you po.
Thank you po, sir. Ayan. And for the participants now, kindly fill up the post-evaluation form. It will serve also as your attendance that you will have your certificate of participation and also isa-send namin yung materials na hinihingi nyo kay Sir. Ayan. Thank you everyone. I appreciate you being here today, especially kay Sir Dom. Thank you so much, Sir. Inabot na po tayo ng lunchtime. Pero I'm very thankful, sir, kasi lahat tayo is nagstay pa here. And ayun, again, thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time to our next webinar. And ayun, thank you po. God bless po. God bless everyone. We will ending our Zoom meeting na po. Thank you po. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sir Dom.
Salamat lahat.
Goodbye,
Salamat, Sir
everyone.
Dom.
Sige po.
Thanks, everyone. Ingat.
Thank you po. Bye-bye po.
Please follow and like our page po, Tech4Ed page para po sa mga other webinars pa. Thank you.